Okay, hope y'all are having a good Sunday. We are going to start our series on John. Going to hopefully have 2 to 3 videos out a week. So that's kind of be the plan going forward. And today our scripture is John 1:1 through 5. So if you want to flip there and kind of be reading that as we go along, refer back to it as I'm talking, that would be great. All right, I'm going to read it since it's not very long today. John 1, starting in verse 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made, and without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. I don't know if you've seen The Chosen, but in season 2, episode 1, the opening scene is John is listening to Jesus speak, and Jesus is speaking about the beginning and that section of scripture in Genesis 1, and it flashes back and forth between John writing, in the beginning was the Word, and Jesus speaking, in the beginning God created. And you just get that the visual image, and it's a pretty cool image and scene to watch, because you're seeing the wheels turn in John's head and this is Jesus. He was there in the beginning with God. And then you see him later when he's older writing it down, and he's able to connect those dots back to when he heard Jesus speak that. And so the Word in this passage, in the beginning was the Word, that is Jesus. And you see that more clearly in verse 14. It tells us the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we saw his glory as of the only begotten from the Father, full of grace and truth. So it identifies Jesus as God's Son, and also in the beginning with God in this passage. So let's go back to Genesis 1. And in Genesis 1:26, it says, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness." And that further proves that Jesus was there in the beginning with God during the creation of the world. Verse 2, he was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made, and without him nothing was made that has been made. So he was there creating everything around us, every tree and animal, and was involved in the process of creating us, of creating human beings, because he makes him in our likeness. And God is saying that and he's making him in our likeness of him and Jesus. And that's cool, because he came down and dwelt among us, as we see in verse 14. I know it's skipping ahead. He came down and dwelt among us, and he helped design us, and so he knows all of us. He knows our deepest inner workings. He knows how our bodies function and work, and he was involved in making that, and he designed it, or helped design it. In verse 4 and 5, we see some of those key words that I spoke about last week. We see light and life. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. And we see this contrast between darkness and the light, and the dark can't overcome the light. I think a good visual example of this is, those of you who sat in an early Christian worship know that there are not many candles in that room. It's a dark room, and without those lights, it'd be pitch black in there. But with those lights, it's lit up, and you can see one another. You can see each other worshiping, and that gives me a good visual example of what the light does to the darkness. It completely gets rid of it, and it doesn't take much. And the darkness is full of evil, and I don't know how many of you are Star Wars fans, but you got the light side, you got the dark side. And when we're consumed by our personal feelings and passions, then that turns us to the darkness, turns us away from the light and focusing on ourselves instead of others, and spreading the light of Jesus in the life of Jesus. And that darkness cannot overcome it. And it may seem that the darkness is impossible to come over from your situations or whatever you're in, but there's no brighter light than Jesus. There's no situation that is too dark for Jesus. That light shines all over the world, and we need to let that light shine. And I think that one way we can do that is just being kind to people and building people up instead of tearing them down, and in turn that'll make us more positive people and spread that light even further just by our kindness and our actions. And they'll notice that something's different about us, that we are not like the rest of the world that's full of darkness and corruption and selfish desires, that we are lights to that world and can really just bring out the best in people and show other people who they are and what they're made for. That's all I got for this week. I hope y'all have a good week, and that you try and see some darkness and light in your life, and try to focus on the light and bring that out, and try and get rid of that darkness. And if you need anything, feel free to reach out, and we'll see y'all next time.